Hello everyone, welcome back to another, day of CS news. I think it was just ended off at the Blast Premier Fall Groups is when I last did a video, and we have the IEM Cologne play-in actually just end a couple hours ago. And I kind of want to go over that and how that kind of affects the layout and maybe even the results of IEM Cologne, and let's get into it. Kind of just want to talk about chronologically first what happened before we even came into the tournament. Heroic, who normally plays with Dexter, actually had a replacement of Wario 2K, who used to play on Monty. Long time player of Monty. And then I think he got kicked or left. No one really knows. But he played for Heroic for one game, or I guess one series, and honestly didn't do that great. Against MIBR, had a .78 rating. They lost the game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's Wario 2K's fault, but, they didn't win. So that's kind of sucky for Wario 2K, and it was supposed to be kind of his comeback again. And, he just didn't prove himself, and, he was out by the next game because Dexter came back, and that's just kind of what happened. Some also, big games that happened the first day. 9Z 2-0 3D Max, which I'll get into the 9Z in a moment. And like I said, 9Z is someone who's severely underrated, and I think could really go far in this tournament. But we'll talk about that later. And again, MIBR beating Heroic 2-1. It was a good game to watch, and again, it was nice to see Wario 2K playing, but I don't think we'll see him playing again for a while. Eternal Fire beat Falcons. Not really an upset, but, it just... that was kind of a flip-flop game, and it was kind of bad to see Falcons get eliminated so fast. Furia beat Imperial, kind of not expected. Big beat FlyQuest again. Good for the German scene, which is this tournament is being played in German, in Cologne. And then Saw beat Mongols, which is another story I kind of want to talk about here. Kind of the first of two stories I would like to touch on is Saw. Came in, beat Mongols 2-1. I think, pretty close. Well, no, it was pretty back and forth, I guess, throughout the series. Came in and then beat Big 2-1 with a comeback win on, I think, Vertigo is last. Inferno on the last map. And I think, again, we kind of saw last year in the Spring Showdown. They kind of made a massive run and qualified, but honestly, I really don't think that I really don't think they can go far in Cologne. Saw is just a team, honestly, they don't have a lot of big performances, and they just kind of show up when they need to, but I don't really think they can go far. They're playing G2 at the start of Cologne. And I'll touch more into this later. I'm just going to look at this real quick. G2 plays Saw, and then, it is potentially, they could feasibly qualify for, the playoffs. They would have to beat G2, and then somehow Mongols beat Spirit, I think, for them to even have a chance to qualify in the upper bracket. And, I don't want to even get in the lower bracket now. That's not decided. But yeah, that's just kind of Saw, and they qualified day 2, and again, surprised everyone. I think it was even surprised Big beat FlyQuest there, and then Big lost to Saw, and qualified for Cologne. And then another story kind of in this upper bracket, other than 9Z, which we'll get into real quick. This Pain team, what I specifically want to look at is this Snow guy. He's 17 years old, and let me tell you, this guy is nuts. Pain would, I think, go on. Yes, they went on to qualify. They beat Imperial 2-1. Again, Snow didn't have that great of a performance. I think he did well today. No, he did all right. But he is a very electric, or, I guess that's a great word to describe. Very electric out of the server. He's, a young kid yelling at all these pros, and I was watching a Liquid game too. As you know, I'm a Liquid guy, and it was kind of exciting to see someone like that. And we do have kind of this Brazilian, South American young talent developing in the scene, which I think is really cool right now, and it really kind of helps develop the scene. Same with Mongols. They're really the only good Asian team, and they are, they're pretty good, and we'll get into them in a minute. Obviously, 9Z qualified over 3D Max and MIBR. It kind of was a little bit of an easier bracket for them, but I think if we go to the stats here, I think, I was looking at this earlier today. The top 3 rated players of the event are from 9Z. And again, I really think that these teams should watch out for 9Z because, these guys might surprise a lot of people. And I think they could really qualify for the playoffs in IEM Cologne. But we'll see. We'll get to that. Liquid obviously qualify. I mean, pretty tough game against Furia. It was back and forth, but I think it kind of showed that they had some grit and they could, come back against these lesser teams, and I think they played well. Complexity obviously kind of queen sleep clean sweep run to the qualification, which is cool. I think Elise kind of came out and said, the standard for Complexity is that they need to win and they need to at least qualify, and that's what they went out and did. Eternal Fire lost 2-0 in that game. We'll get into that and their implications, but let's look at the lower bracket now. So first day, we had Falcons take out Alternate Attacks XO, which is another German team, and then Big. Now, this is something to note. Something big. As you know, this tournament is being played in Germany. And if Falcons do get on stage, I don't see them making it past the quarterfinals, or if they even make it to the semifinals, which I don't think they'll even qualify for the playoffs anyways. I don't think the fans are really going to like it, as they took out both the German teams in the tournament. So I think that whoever they're playing against is going to get a crowd buff, kind of something we saw with Stu 2K in Dallas and really any other team that plays on home soil. And I think any other team that plays Falcon, no matter who it is going to receive that, and it's going to play against Falcons. And maybe even Falcons could receive, kind of a bad version of that, maybe a crowd debuff. I don't know. Then we had Heroics kind of took out 3D Max, but then went to play Furia today and lost. And again, you had Dexter in both of these games. He did not play the best. And I really think that this Heroic team, as they are, they're not bad. It's just, I don't know, they're just not playing that great, or the team isn't meshing well. I think they need to change something up, honestly. And I know this is the start of a season. We really only have, 2 small, group stages already under our belt. But, I mean, they didn't even qualify for Blast. They didn't qualify for IEM Cologne. I don't know. They brought in half of, they kept half of the Heroic. The other half went to Astralis. And then they brought in these players, and they're thinking, we're going to win. We have aspirations to become this championship team. And have just fallen off. But another big story is Furia as well. This Skulls, who is also used to play on Liquid, is kind of a new and up-and-comer in the Brazilian scene. I think he's 19. No, he's 22. He's still a very young player. Used to play on Pain. He is very good, honestly, and I think people should watch out for him. Severely underrated player, and I think it's great that they qualified and we get to see more of him. And again, we kind of already touched on this. Pain qualified 2-1 of Imperial, 2-1 over MBR, which I think is cool because that gives a chance to Brazilians. It kind of just cool how the way it worked out. One Brazilian team gets to qualify, no matter what. And we see 2 here, so we know you never know how that could work out. Yeah, again, I think the Snow Kid, he played great for him being his first big tournament. Pain entered the tournament, I think it was either a 15 series win streak or 15 map win streak. It was something like that, something very impressive. And I think that Pain in the next couple years, if they keep this roster or keep developing, I think they could do well. And I think part of the reason they are, a lot of people don't see this, is their IGL, Big Uzera, who's probably one of the best Brazilian IGLs in the game right now. I know you obviously have Fallen, but Big Uzera is very unique in the way that, he IGLs and he calls, but he goes around the map and, plays these lurky positions that you wouldn't expect from an IGL. And then you also have players like Snow and players like Lux, who just, again, lurk around the map. And, you have pretty much 3 lurkers on that team, which is kind of hard to play against, but if done properly, can kind of be taken care of pretty fast. And our last qualifier out of, I think the 8 that qualified is the Mongols. Again, they kind of got unlucky, or, I don't think they showed up against Saw. Lost, and then 2-0 FlyQuest and 2-1 Eternal Fire, which was an excellent game today. Went down 13-4 in Anubis. Honestly, I was watching the game. I turned it off, going to Mirage because I didn't think they were going to win. Came back and they were up. So I watched the game from then. Same thing happened in Nuke. They got down, and then they, went to Nuke CT side, and, they just did something. Pulled out a double op, which Eternal Fire had nothing to call against, and they came back and won in overtime. Which, again, is good because if we look at all the qualifiers here, I think it really gives a good representation of the scene of CS. You have 2 Brazilian teams, another South American team qualify. 2, I guess you could say, North American teams. 1 really North American team and another kind of just around the world team. And then you have Mongols, obviously, great team, and it's great that they're representing the Asian scene. Yeah, Falcons, a Danish team, which I think are I think the only majority Danish teams in the tournament. No, never mind. Strauss is also playing, and then you have Saw again, who are kind of this up and coming surprisers that no one really thought would qualify, and they did. And I think it's great that you have this representation. Now let's get into the group stages of IEM Cologne, which, if anyone's not aware of how this works, you have to win. If you want to qualify in the upper bracket, you have to get to the finals. If you want to qualify in the lower bracket, which is after you lose, you have to win your final. So it's a double elimination tournament, in the groups at least. And then whoever wins the upper final also goes to the semifinals. Whoever loses goes to quarterfinals. So, it's not really that big of a deal. Now, matchups we have Navi and Pain, Astralis and 9Z, G2 and Saw, Spirit Mongols in the first bracket. Second bracket, we have Mausen and Falcons, Virtus Pro and Complexity, FaZe Liquid, Vitality Furia. And these are all going to be pretty early in the morning. I'm probably going to watch some of them tonight. I'm probably going to stay up as it is 10:30 my time now. But let's just kind of talk about these games real quick. And I think that's something that jumps off as the eye, kind of as a mismatch, or maybe even might be a very cool game to watch, is this Astralis 9Z game. I honestly think that 9Z could... I think they will beat Astralis. I really severely think they're underrated. Astralis, in my mind, yes, they've been playing well, but I think also, again, they're overrated. You have someone like Device, who is a stellar, rock-solid player, always shows up to games, but... Stare and Bro, they have their off games. And again, you have these three leaders of the team that always show up, 90% of the time, 95% of the time. But it really comes down to Bro and Stare. And I think really, if they do well, I think Astralis can win. But the main thing that they need to do is stop Martinez from, starting to open up. If he starts getting going, he's not going to be stopped. And I think people should look out for that tomorrow. Another game I'd like to touch on is Spirit and Mongols. Again, you might think Spirit is this all juggernaut team, and I really think they are. But again, Mongols is a severely, severely underdog team, and they're very underrated, and I really think they can surprise people at this tournament. Now, theoretically, if they were to beat Spirit, there is a world where Saw could maybe beat G2, but I don't think they will. However, if Mongols beat Saw, if Mongols beat Spirit, I could see a world where they also beat G2. And that could be interesting to see them qualify. I think Navi, again, they're probably going to swing through this bracket. It's possible that out of this game, whoever wins could upset them. I think they look bad in the Blast groups. I don't know if it was that or Liquid playing good. But, they took care of business and qualified at Blast groups. And so we'll see how that goes. But I really think Navi over Pain here. And I think it's probably just going to be a Spirit Navi group final with maybe you have G2 qualifying, G2 and maybe 9Z. Honestly, I think G2 and 9Z probably is what's going to be this lower bracket final. And, I could see both teams winning. 9Z could go crazy, G2 could go crazy. It just depends, who performs and who not. And, we'll see how that goes. Now, in the Group B bracket, this one's a bit of a lighter bracket. You don't have Navi. You don't have G2. You don't have Astralis, who, in my eyes, they're both top 5 teams, or they're all top 5 teams. This kind of have the brackets a little, the Mouse Falcons Virtus Pro Complexity bracket side is a very, very weak. I think Virtus Pro is a little bit overhyped, and, as you could tell, they had a terrible Blast groups, and just shit the bed, honestly. Sorry for my language, but they just played horrendous. The only one that showed up was Jame, but they still lost both their games, and 2-0, 2-0, and they're just out. Mouse and Falcons would be an interesting lineup, but as a Falcons performance slate, I just don't really think they can do it. Falcons is a very on and off team. They're very bipolar. They could go far, they could not. I mean, we'll see. Again, you just have to have players like Sampaius and Dupree just show up, but Dupree's new to the team, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I might be thinking of another team. Let me see here. Yeah, he's somewhat new to the team, but obviously he's played with Magist before, so he has that kind of connection. And Zonix as well, being a longtime coach of the Astralis, and you had that massive run, before COVID and won. I think it was 4 majors, something like that. Went crazy. But I honestly could see a world where Complexity wins, Mouse wins. That's a toss-up between the two, but I think Mouse is going to win, probably most of the time. And Mouse, again, group stage warriors, I honestly think they're just going to qualify to the semifinals no matter what. And my prediction with that, they might lose just depending on whoever they go up on. I think Mouse is a team, once they get at the stage, they play a little bit less good. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think high hopes for Mouse, high hopes for Complexity. But this side of the bracket is absolute nightmare. Honestly, I peg FaZe and Liquid both teams that should qualify out of these 4 teams, and so should Vitality. Unfortunately, I think not all 3 of them can qualify. Only a max of 2 of these 4 teams can qualify. And it'll be really, really interesting to see what this FaZe Liquid match is going to look like, because I honestly think that, when Liquid went into those Blast Fall groups, they were new. No one really had any info on them, and that's kind of why they beat Na'Vi both those games. And yes, it could be argued in the second game, oh, Na'Vi had all these strats against them, yada, yada, yada. But, I still think Na'Vi had an off day. So we'll see how that goes. But this is going to be a tough game. I'm still kind of deciding who's going to win. I could see it go both ways. It's Twist, I guess, not really revenge match, but his kind of match against his old team, against FaZe. We could see him pop off. We could see Kerrigan read Twist's mind like crazy and absolutely smash Liquid. But I don't know. It could be a close game. It could be an absolute blowout. It could be one-sided and then go back to another side in the second map. Who knows? And I think it's going to be a really exciting game to watch. Probably the most exciting out of all these first games to watch. And then you have Vitality and Furia. Again, Vitality should go through. But, it's also possible. Again, Furia could go through. Fallen's a great in-game leader. But I think most of the time, just Vitality wins here. And there's not much more to say than that. Predictions for this group? I don't know. I could see FaZe. Whoever wins this match is going to beat Vitality or Furia. Whoever, no doubt in my mind. So whoever wins this match is going to the quarterfinals. So either FaZe or Liquid. And I think Mouse can go all the way. And I think Liquid, if they lose, can have a lower bracket run. Just kind of with the resilience and determination they've showed throughout these tournaments and these group stages. I think that, they could possibly do it. We'll see. FaZe, if they lose the first match, I think they're out, honestly. And even if they play Furia, I think they are, because FaZe, they haven't played too well as of late, in the spring groups. I think they still qualified. Oh, they might, let me see. I don't think they did. Yeah, they didn't. They did not. That's correct. Yeah, they didn't. So I was right about that. Yeah, I mean, they didn't really play good at that event. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is FaZe's time to come back. As unfortunate as it is, as a Liquid fan, I think FaZe is going to take the game 2-1. And they're going to qualify. Sorry about that. They're going to qualify, beat Vitality, and just go to quarterfinals. And Mouse is going to beat them 2-0 in the groups. And then I think that's just kind of how it's going to go. So playoff predictions. As expected, Na'Vi going. I think Spirit goes as well, possibly G2. But I think out of this group, I think Na'Vi, G2, and Spirit. However, I can see a world where 9Z and the Mongols both qualify over either a Spirit or a G2. So kind of a toss up there. But at the end of the day, I think Na'Vi and G2 and Spirit are just going to come in and wreck face, and that's just what's going to happen. Group B. Mouse, obviously, no way they don't qualify. I think so. Vitality, I think it's a toss-up. I think Complexity can overqualify them. I don't want to peg them as Complexity will, but I think it's a toss-up. If Vitality lose, and they're going to make a lower bracket run, and I think Complexity will too, and I think they're going to end up playing each other in the finals, in the lower, if that happens. Or I could see FaZe and Complexity doing that, and I could also see Liquid and Complexity doing that, or VP and Liquid. So at the end of the day, I really think Mouse, without a doubt, FaZe or Liquid without a doubt, and probably Vitality. And that's it's still a question mark on Vitality. We could again see Complexity qualify. And then we could say FaZe and Liquid qualify, but I think only one of these teams are going to qualify, just kind of how the draw is. But as of late, there hasn't really been much except, the Perfect World announcement for the RMR, which again isn't really all that special. It's just kind of, all the teams that you expect to, come into the RMRs with invites, they're in there, except for really Cloud9, which has a big, asterisk next to it and big. But, they'll probably qualify in the closed qualifiers. I'm not too worried about that. America's RMR, pretty simple. I mean, you have a lot of teams down here that, can kind of prove themselves and qualify. Probably one of these teams in the closed qualifier will qualify. Same with North American. Again, this could be, again, a kind of a toss-up. It doesn't really matter who goes now. And there's too far out to really tell. I mean, I don't think they start for another couple months. So, yeah, Asians, again, kind of, we'll see what happens there. And again, we don't really have to talk about this. It just got announced that this is happening. If you want to pause the video and kind of take a look at the teams and maybe, kind of make your own concessions, go for it. But yeah, again, I really think that Cologne it's going to be a really special tournament. Winging it all, kind of a prediction. Tough. Really, again, I could see 3 things happening here, or really 4. FaZe could have an absolutely dominant tournament and come back and win. Liquid, again, same thing, could just surprise everyone's expectations and win. But I think most of the time, Na'Vi or Spirit's going to just win the tournament here. And G2 could possibly go and run far, make it to the finals, but, I don't think that's going to happen. However, I think there's a slight chance, maybe like 5%, that 9Z makes a deep run. We'll see what happens, but I think once they get out of groups, again, kind of the same thing as Mouse. They're one-trick pony, and they're done. Everyone's going to have their playbook, and as soon as they get to quarterfinals, semifinals, it's done. But, yeah, I mean, that's really it. We'll see how the, tournament goes. I'll probably make a video after, at the end, kind of updating and seeing where this goes and how this does. But I think everyone should really also keep an eye on the young talent in Pain and 9Z and Saw, and just see how that goes, as well as Furia with Skulls. And I think that's kind of the main takeaways of this tournament. I think mostly this tournament is a way to develop, just kind of a pathway for young talent to develop over the season. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you don't mind, I actually stream sometimes on Kick. The link's in bio. Drop a subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Follow my Kick. Again, link in bio. And yeah, have a great rest of your night, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.